She showed up at the funeral in black, looked me in the eye, and called me son. Right after she stole everything my dying father left me. By the end of the week, the stepmother I thought was family had forged his will, emptied his accounts, and had the whole family convinced I was the one being greedy. They told me to let it go. They said I was overreacting to grief. So I did something they never expected. I turned the one thing they thought would protect her, the law, into the trap that destroyed her life. In this video, you'll see exactly how I nuked the stepmom who stole my inheritance, and the moment the entire family realized they'd been on the wrong side all along. Let me take you back to the moment I knew something was wrong. My father had been sick for about 14 months. Lung cancer. The kind that moves quietly at first, then all at once. I visited every weekend I could. 3-hour drive each way. I sat with him through the treatments, through the bad days, through the nights when he couldn't sleep and just wanted someone to talk to. She was there too. Always nearby. Always helpful. I want to be fair. In the beginning, she was. She organized his medications. She drove him to appointments when I couldn't. She made the house run. I was grateful. I told him I was grateful. He told me she was the best thing that happened to him after my mother passed. I believed him. And that's what made everything that came after so precise in its cruelty. My father's name doesn't need to be in this video. What matters is what he told me in private about 6 weeks before he died. We were sitting in his study, the room with the old desk he'd had since before I was born, and he handed me a folder. Inside was a printed summary of his estate plan. The house would go into a trust. His investment accounts, which he'd built carefully over 4 decades, were to be split equally between me and her. His personal belongings, including a collection of tools and a watch that had belonged to his own father, were to come to me. He looked at me and said, "I want you to know this is handled. I don't want you to have to fight for anything." I told him I wasn't worried. That was the last honest conversation we had. He died on a Tuesday. By Friday, she had moved. The first thing I noticed was how fast she hired an attorney. Most people are still in shock. She had legal representation before the obituary. Then I got the call from her lawyer. He told me that my father had updated his will in the final weeks of his life, just 11 days before he died. The new will left the house, and the majority of the investment accounts entirely to her. My share had been reduced to a symbolic amount, $4,200. From a portfolio worth over $400,000. The new will left the house, and the majority of the investment accounts entirely to her. My share had been reduced to a symbolic amount, $4,200, from a portfolio worth over $400,000. I asked for a copy of the will. It took them 9 days to send it. When I finally held it in my hands, I read it 3 times. The language was different. My father was an engineer. He used short sentences. This document was verbose, meandering, and filled with phrases he simply never used. I know how my father wrote, but what stopped me cold was the signature. My father had broken his right wrist in a fall 2 months before he died. He'd relearned to sign with his left hand. It was labored, inconsistent. The signature on this will was fluid, confident, right-handed. I took a photograph of it and didn't say a word. The family had already started picking sides by the time I consulted my first attorney. There were phone calls I wasn't included in, a group chat I was quietly removed from. An aunt told me my judgment might be compromised, that she was a good woman and she'd cared for him. I didn't argue. I went home and opened a spreadsheet. If I responded emotionally, I would lose. She was expecting emotion. She was counting on it. An emotional heir makes mistakes. I wasn't going to give her anything. I hired a probate litigation attorney, not a general estate lawyer, a specialist, someone who had spent 20 years doing exactly this: contested wills, fraud claims, forensic document analysis. I laid it out. The wrist injury, the signature, the timeline, 11 days before death. The original estate documents he'd shared with me 6 weeks prior, the folder, the printed summary. She asked for handwriting samples from after the injury. I had 11. Text messages, a handwritten note, a birthday card dated 3 weeks before he died. She said we had enough to open discovery. We filed a will contest. What followed was quiet, bureaucratic, and methodical. A court-appointed examiner compared the signature against 17 authenticated samples. The results were clear. In plain English, the signature didn't match, and it didn't shake. It was a forgery. Every characteristic was inconsistent with his documented recovery. We also subpoenaed the financial records. 11 days before my father died, the same day the fraudulent will was supposedly signed, a wire transfer of $68,000 had left his account. The destination was a joint account I never knew existed. Then $31,000, then $44,000. A total of $143,000 moved in 6 weeks. I did not raise my voice. I wrote the numbers down. The deposition was scheduled for a Wednesday morning. She arrived well-dressed and composed. She had been coached. She answered questions carefully. She was good at this. But forensic evidence doesn't care. When the examiner's report was entered, her attorney requested a recess. They took 40 minutes. When they came back, the tone was different. Careful in a new way. The way careful looks when someone realizes the floor has already shifted. She was asked about the transfers. She said he authorized them. The documentation she produced was a handwritten note authorizing the transfers. Same examiner, same conclusion. It was a forgery, just like the will. The trap had closed. The case settled before trial. Settlement did not mean compromise. It meant full restitution. $143,000 plus interest. The fraudulent will was set aside. The original estate was restored. Her legal fees paid in full by her. And then the judge referred the case to the fraud division. I did not make that referral. The judge did. The original estate was restored. Her legal fees paid in full by her. And then the judge referred the case to the fraud division. I did not make that referral. The judge did. The family found out gradually, in pieces, through phone calls, through the slow collapse of a story that never held together. The aunt who doubted me called 3 months later. I kept it short. I've thought a lot about what my father would have said. He would have hated the conflict, but he taught me to document everything. He handed me that folder because he wanted it handled. He was right. It just took a little longer. She lost the house. She lost the accounts. She lost everything she tried to steal. I got back what was mine. I acted exactly how he raised me. That's not a triumph I'll celebrate loudly. It's a quiet thing. She called me son at the funeral. The law called it something else entirely. The case was closed, permanently still. If you want the next story, stay tuned, because the next one is even worse. Thank you for listening.